No, no, I'm not. Hey everyone, welcome to the Normal America Show. I'm told that I have Twitch chat set to emoji only. I don't know how I would have been able to do that. Galil was typing on Twitch earlier. If you're on Twitch, can you say something possibly without emojis to see if it's a problem on my end or some users' end? I'll try to fix it if it's on my end. We'll see what we can do with that. Let me see here. So I know I'm streaming at an unusual time. And
Ooblets, and you...
There won't be a lot of people in, I would assume. What the heck? Emote only chat. There we go. I don't know how that happened. I literally wasn't in the settings, so that's... Who knows what that's about. But we figured it out. Thank you, Gray. Or what? Granny Amos, I appreciate it. It's weird. My arena logo makes it hard for me to read that. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. What's up, Go Rams? How you doing? Great to see you all. So it's an unusual time for me to be streaming. Yeah, thanks for the... I'm glad... We'll talk about that Twitter space. My friend tells me I shouldn't do live streams while I'm driving because it's just garbage. The sound quality, so maybe I'll just start doing recordings instead. But yeah, I had a crazy work week. It's not really anything I could talk about, just some stuff that happened in the home that made it so I was unable to stream Monday or Tuesday, so apologies for that. But I'm back. I'm a little early today because my son Hank was a maniac and stayed up late and last night, and so now his sleep schedule's off, so he's actually napping right now, which means you know. Oh, the building the wall. We got so much to talk about. There's just so much. There's, you know, I don't know. I probably at best have until 7:30. So I got to be quick because there's a lot to talk about, and everyone knows I could be quite verbose. So there's a lot to talk about today, which we'll get to. I know we probably won't have an audience the size that we normally. What's up, Empowered Man Podcast? I'm doing great. So, but yeah, just to let you all know, that's what was going on. I got called into work early, and then I had some crazy work situation stuff come up, so I was unable to stream. Plus, I had a little bit of a bug, but I think I'm over it. Unfortunately, I mentioned this the other day. I think I get called into work. Oh, wait 1 second. I get called into work early Saturday morning. Friday night was the first time my son has really been sick, and it was just a little bug, but he was throwing up at night, and oh my God, it just broke my heart to watch him, poor guy, struggling while he's trying to sleep. So I didn't really want to go into work Saturday, but I guess I had no choice. Yeah, sure, no problem, Biking Cat. Driving and streaming's fine if it's audio only, and I'm not endangering anyone. I'm not looking at the screen. It's just spaces. So, yeah, KJ, John Pierre looked absurd today. It's all lies. It's all lies. Everything is a lie. I don't trust any of it anymore. I don't trust any of their statistics. Nothing. I don't trust anything. So we'll talk about it, particularly the Dems. It's surreal. So a lot's happened. You had the McCarthy, and there's some share of making fun of Republicans here as well. But last you heard from me, if you didn't catch my spaces, that was for like 15 minutes today, was talking to a Boy, which is a fine conversation, and then Pisco, and it was on Representative Bowman pulling a fire alarm. Just understand, everything these people say is a lie. They are just out and out hacks. I include Pisco in that. I include the majority of the Democratic Party, so many of their supporters, the majority of the pundits, the majority of the political sphere on YouTube and Twitch that these lefties I debate. It's an absolute joke. It's absolutely. Caligula, like, I'm not talking about Dylan specifically, but, you know, everything that they claim to stand for is a lie. It is an out-and-out lie. And they have so much cognitive dissonance they don't realize it, or they don't give a shit. Either way, it's irrelevant to me and you. All of their moral proclamations about fighting bigotry and fighting Nazis and fighting race, it's all a lie. All of it. The Ukrainian Nazi situation. I didn't even think to talk about that today. But remember, Kyle Rittenhouse was a Nazi. The Proud Boys are Nazi. Trump supporters are Nazis. Actual Nazis in Ukraine get standing ovations in Canadians' parliament. They get glowing reviews written by them in our mainstream media. Well, it's more complicated than that. Just because they were an SS soldier under the Nazis doesn't actually mean they're a Nazi. But if you give the OK symbol, you're a Nazi. Everything they do, it's a lie. They never gave a shit. They didn't give a shit about Nazis. They don't care. As soon as Nazis are beneficial to the Democratic Party and their supporters, then Nazis are cool again. That's it. I say this all the time. They don't give a shit when they have a double standard and hypocrisy. It proves that they don't give a shit about what they claim to, but they know you do. They know the average person hates Nazis. Okay, so we'll smear people as Nazis as an insult. We don't actually believe they're Nazis. We don't even think Nazis are bad people. We don't give a shit. If they're Nazis that are on our side, then they're great people. They'll lie right to your face. They don't give a shit. They don't care. So I was talking to Pisco. Pisco has the, what's the word I'm looking for? The dubious honor of being one of the better people on the left that I talk to. Because at least he'll talk about an issue. The guy thinks Jamaal Bowman pulled a fire alarm to open a door. That's what he thinks. It couldn't be. That doesn't seem likely. He'll admit that doesn't seem likely that he would do that. But it's more likely than he pulled the alarm for a delay. You don't have to take people like that serious. There's no longer a need for a conversation. What's the need for a conversation at that point? That says everything you need to know. But wait a minute, isn't it possible that there could be some mechanisms where locks mechanize and unlock based on an alarm being signaled? So therefore, hypothetically, it is possible that one might misconstrue a locked door to think that an alarm needs to signal to open the door, and so you perhaps would pull a fire alarm in the hopes that eventually that door would fuck you. That's the answer. Laugh at them and tell them to fuck off. You don't need to talk to them anymore. Now, maybe I'll talk to Pisco in the future. Maybe I won't. I'll do debates in the future for sure. Maybe I'll take it seriously. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just laugh at my opponents that believe that level of stupid shit. What's the point? What's the point of a conversation after that? Except just to show people how bad faith, ridiculous hacks they are. What's the point? What's the point of having a conversation with Pisco about should Paul Combetta have been charged for deleting subpoenaed evidence? Should there be subpoena of Joe Biden's bank records, seeing as how his family was getting paid all this money for these places that were selling access to him? What possible good faith explanation are you think you're going to get from someone like Pisco? A guy who thinks it sounds preposterous. He'll admit, sounds preposterous that he pulled that fire alarm thinking he would open that door. But that's more likely than he thought the alarm would cause a delay. Oh, by the way, we have a shit press. Our legacy media is garbage. Now, I think that's one of the first things, if I was an intrepid reporter for CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times or the Washington Post or Fox News, etc., I would have been interviewing people at the Capitol at that vote, both people that were involved in the vote and people that weren't involved in the vote, people that just work in the building. And I'd have said, did it cause a delay? How long was it delayed? How long was that building evacuated? Did it cause delays in other buildings? That's what I would do as a journalist. Thank you, Aftershock. As always, probably other than my wife, the person who supports me on this channel the most. Thank you so much, Aftershock. The hypocrisy on the left never has consequences or ramification because the left is winning. Because they've won the culture war. It's not over, but they have won. They control the narrative. They control the institutional power. So the people that could give them consequences are them. And they're not going to give themselves consequences. Destiny stream right now. Lol. There's a reason he only says those things when he's alone or talking to lefties. I don't know what you mean. Who's Destiny talking to? I don't know. But it looks like, according to people I've only seen, this is what makes it difficult. It's only Republicans I've seen speak up. You can't expect the Democrats to be honest. But they say, yes, that Hakeem Jeffries had a motion to adjourn, that it didn't look like it was going to grant. Traditionally, there's 15 minutes given before these votes start to take place, and instead it took over an hour, because as soon as the motion to adjourn was put forth and they were debating on going ahead and doing the bill, the fire alarm went off, which then led to a process where they had to bring people one by one. Oh, yeah, well, of course, doesn't, yeah. Now, let me be a lefty, right? That's been yelling about the insurrection, the January insurrection. You ready? Here we go. Here's a good faith lefty. I'll turn the hat backwards. Yeah, okay. Bowman clearly did this. It is, unless some amount of insane proof comes out, it is beyond reasonable doubt that he pulled that fire alarm to cause a delay. and he should be held accountable. And yes, we did make a big deal that delaying official proceedings or obstructing official proceedings was against the law and a big deal, and he should face the ramifications of that. I still don't think it's as big of a deal as what happened on January 6th, but yeah, absolutely, it does meet the same criminal code, and he should have to pay the consequences from that. And at the very least, he should be removed from office. See how hard that was? So wait, what is Destiny's saying that the FBI is too far gone, or he's defending the FBI and his chat is calling bullshit? Yeah, Destiny's clearly. Here, I'll try to chum him in. I'll see if he wants to talk. See if he wants to talk. No, there is no Republican leader doing near enough to call it this corruption. I don't even think DeSantis or Trump. Probably the only person who's talking about it in a serious way is Vivek, who's not going to win. But as far as elected officials or potential presidential candidates, no. Other than Vivek. No, of course not. Jim Jordan's been leading the weaponization. Look, Jim Jordan, of the people that credibly could win Speaker of the House, probably the best choice. He's been leading the weaponization committee. What has he done? Anything? It's Destiny stream on YouTube. Let's bring up here a second.
I was going fucking crazy.
I'm just going to mute because I don't want to rip his... let's see what he's saying. One second. Whatever. He's not going to respond. I'll just check in later. Oh yeah, it's also banned from Twitch. So if I do talk to him, I'll have to end the Twitch stream. You have to go to YouTube, Rumble, Kick, or Twitch. Anyways, so back to what I was talking about. What's the point of trying to talk to someone like Pisco? We're gonna have another 3-hour debate on Burisma. Is there any possible evidence that you believe could ever be shown that's going to make that Pisco change his talking points on this and say that Joe Biden or that the FBI was corrupt about this? Any? Yeah, I heard. That's the part I heard, Galil. Destiny saying, where'd this talking point? There's such a fucking joke. Destiny's a joke, too. I'll tell him right to his face. Fuck him. What do you mean? This talking point that Biden opened the border? Well, let's see. We have records coming across the border every month now under Biden. Everything they say is a fucking joke. Everything. Nazis are bad. Kyle Rittenhouse is a Nazi. MAGA people are Nazis. Oh, the actual Ukrainian Nazis, they're not really Nazis. Even though they were Nazis, they're not really Nazis. Right? Here's another one. Mayorkas, who, what's Mayorkas' position? DHS? I always forget. Yeah. Homeland Security. Mayorkas comes out after we've had this border crisis that wasn't a crisis. There was no border crisis until it started to affect blue cities. Then once it started to affect Martha's Vineyard and New York and Chicago, now it's a crisis. Now remember, their argument, there's so many levels to this illegal immigration, right? There's so many levels to it. You were a racist. You remember when Rick Wilson went on Don Lemon's show in like 2016 to 2017? He said, Trump voters are 10-toothed rubes that are afraid of the brown horde that's coming across the border. That's what he said. You're racist. You see, you're a racist if you're against illegal immigration. That's racist, he says. That's what he said. He said it was racist. So if you're complaining about illegal immigration, that must be because you're a white person and you're racist. Now we could see council meetings in Chicago, in New York. Many of them, the majority of the people in these neighborhoods are people of color, are black. And they're furious that their woke leaders are saying, guess what? We have to house another 1,000 illegals here. They're pissed off. Why? Why don't they just tell those people, excuse me, all of you black people upset about this, you're racist. All of the data shows that these illegals are better than you. They commit less crime than you. They're harder working than you. They increase the economy more than you do. They're better than you in every way. Because that's what they told me. That's what they told all of these people in border towns, which, by the way, were the people that were predominantly always affected by the brunt of illegal immigration, were people that tended to be people of color, like legal Hispanic residents and people of color in cities where these illegals were housed. But those were in red areas, so they didn't give a shit. It was all racism. It was racism. That's what it was. Now all of a sudden that it's affecting Democrats, all of a sudden what Mayor Adams is saying it's a crisis. He wants Biden to do more. Why isn't anyone calling Mayor Adams a racist? Remember I did a stream about this the other week. What about the statue? The Statue of Liberty, that's what they always told us. The Statue of Liberty says we take everyone. It would be racist not to take everyone. Right? That's what it said. That's what we were told over and over and over and over and over again. That's what we were told. Right? Now that it's happening in blue cities, oh, and there's a big election coming up? Oh, geez. So Mayorkas comes out and said, this is the first part of the story. Don't worry, it gets better. It gets better, right? Again, just laugh at these fucking people. Laugh at Mayorkas, laugh at Biden, laugh at the Democrats, laugh at the stupid fucking commentators that buy this shit and try to sell it to you. Right? So it was racism. Now that it's affecting black, and it wasn't a crisis, it was great. It wasn't happening, and if it is happening, it's good. That's what you were told. Hey, you got Destiny apparently on the other channel. Well, where's this narrative coming that there's open borders? We have, over the weekend, we have border control fist bumping illegals coming across. High-fiving them. You go ahead, you as an actual citizen of this country, say, you know what, fuck it, I've decided I don't want to go through the proper border when I'm going to Canada or Mexico. I'll just do my own thing. I'll cut the queue. Fuck them. See what happens to you. So Mayorkas comes out and goes, we might need to We might need to build, he didn't call it a wall. What did he call it? Like barriers. Structures. We need to build standing structures. Why? Why do they care now? Oh, it's election season. Oh shit. We got to keep our phony baloney jobs. We have to pretend like we care about this. Yeah, I guess maybe it's time to put a border wall. Hasn't anyone told Mayorkas? Didn't they tell him walls don't work? Yes, walls work when they build walls up around their millionaire houses. Yes, walls work when they wanted to build a wall and fences after January 6th. Walls work there. But not for the border for whatever reason. Yes, a wall worked on the border in Israel, but it won't work this time. One person might be able to get over it or under it or around it. That's true. People will still get through, but far less. But they said, nope, it's not good. It doesn't work. What's Mayorkas? He's the Department of Homeland Security, right? Secretary of Homeland Security. No one stopped and told him, excuse me, Mayorkas, walls don't work. Why doesn't someone say, well, then you're not qualified for this job. Clearly you're wrong. But that's just on the logic of it. That was never the Democrat argument. And I was doing streams at the time saying this. They didn't just say walls don't work. What did they say walls were? They said it won't work. And I'll skip the other answer. They said three things. It won't work. It costs too much money. And then there was a third thing that they said. Walls are racist. They're racist. That's what Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats told us. Walls are racist. They're racist. And I remember doing streams back then when I was like, but here's part of the walls that Nancy Pelosi and Democrats have voted for funding in the past. Are they admitting that they funded a racist mechanism? Is that what they're doing? Of course, because they control the flow of information and the legacy media and academia and the entertainment industry and social media companies, they were able to push forth this narrative. It's racist. Yes, we voted for it before. We voted for small portions of wall, which would also mean that doesn't mean, well, because this is one argument that you can make. Look, we'll support walls where it makes sense. We don't think that the whole 400 miles, whatever, of wall is necessary, though. Maybe I disagree, but that's at least an argument. But when you say no, walls are racist, you can't then have supported some walls. That's supporting racism. It's that simple. So I'm calling on my Democrat friends today to support the impeachment of Mayorkas. Because Mayorkas just said that we want a wall, and that's racist. So I assume every Democrat will support his impeachment now, right? Because we now have an open and out racist Secretary of Homeland Security. Not an incompetent one, a racist. It's that simple. And he's working for the Biden administration. If the Biden administration does not immediately fire Mayorkas, then they too are racist and should be impeached. Right, Democrats? It's racist. But wait, it gets even better, right? Now it gets even better. We have this whole debacle with, oh my God, if we don't just pass these, spending bills and just allow infinite increase in spending. By the way, some of the numbers that I'm seeing this week, I believe at least one day, maybe 2 days in the past week, the federal government has added something like over $100 billion in a day. Yeah, you heard that right. We're now talking billions of debt added a day. Remember, though, you have to keep doing it. Even the rhinos say, even the establishment Republicans say, we got to keep printing the money. We got to keep spending it. We can shave a dollar here. The Democrats say, let's spend and create all the money ever infinitely. And the Republicans are like, wait a minute. We'd like to lower that by 1%. Because we're fiscally responsible. That's where we're at. So what were the Democrats saying all week? Oh my God, Republicans want to shut the government down. We need to spend all that money. Moms will go without their checks. Janitors that work for federal buildings won't be able to feed their families. My God, it'll be servicemen won't be paid. It's unconscionable to shut down the government. Absolutely despicable to do so. We got to keep sending that money to Ukraine. Hundreds of billions. Have to. Have to do it. It's immoral. It is absolutely one of the most disgusting things you could do to shut down the government. That's disgusting. And the Republicans are horrible. Now, I don't know if you remember the pre-COVID times, before 2020. Seems like a lifetime ago. Really is only like 4 or 5 years ago. You remember like 4 or 5 years ago? You remember when we had the longest government shutdown in the history of this country, led by the Democrats? Remember? Remember that? You remember what they were so pissed about? Because Donald Trump requested $15 billion in the budget for the wall. And they said, walls are racist. We have to shut down the government. Now, I was doing videos back then. I remember, for example, doing one video where I was talking about Jimmy Kimmel. See, when Republicans threatened to shut down the government under Obama, right? Jimmy Kimmel went on national television and cried, and he said, I have a daughter, and I can afford insurance for him, but what about the families that couldn't? This would be terrible. And I said, where's Jimmy Kimmel's tears now when the government's shutting down because of the Democrats under the Trump administration? Weird. I don't see his tears. I don't see all the people in the mainstream media, all the legacy news outlets, all the people in the entertainment industry, all the people you see today. There's the same gaggle you saw in 2014 or 15 when the Republicans were threatening to shut down under Obama. Same gaggle saying how immoral it is, how despicable, unconscionable it is to shut down the government. All of a sudden, they were cool with it when Democrats were doing it. Why? Because $15 billion was too much for a racist wall. That's what they said. So shutdown was good because walls are racist and $15 billion is too much. Now they're saying to Republicans, shutdowns are the worst thing that could ever happen, because the hundreds of billions that we're sending to Ukraine's just a drop in the bucket. It's not that much. And by the way, we should build the wall. What can you say to those people? You can't make it up. Legal immigration, you're racist if you're against it. Now Democrats are against it. Well, that's okay. Walls are racist. Now the Biden administration's building a wall. Well, that's okay. $15 billion was too much for the wall. Now they're dropping hundreds of billions on foreign countries. Well, that's okay. Government shutdowns are the most immoral thing. They shut down the government the longest it's ever been shut down. That was okay. Literally. And it's not just that they're saying like, well, we think you're wrong. They're saying you're racist. You're a bigot. Walls are racist. You're unconscionable if you shut down the government. And they literally just change 180 degrees. Remember, kids in cages was a big deal. We had 4 times more kids in cages under Biden. No longer a big deal. Where's AOC? Where's her photo op? Interesting. David, thank you for the super chat. He says, whoever wins the next election needs to do mass deportations to undo the damage. Won't happen. And there you... Whoever said In Pursuit of Knowledge is one of the worst debaters, that's true, he's terrible, but there you go. Aren't you happy that Dems now agree with your position? Do you see? No, what I'm saying is that they were always full of shit. And they don't give a fuck. They don't agree with my position now. They don't agree in anything except saying and promising whatever they need to maintain power. That's all they give a shit about. They don't now agree with my position. They don't give a shit. They'll pretend. Here's another example. Defund the police. Remember that? Defund the police? Remember? Now they'll gaslight you and say, we never said that. The Democrats are the party of funding the police, they'll say. That's what they're gaslighting you say. And remember, they told you over and over, they said, crime's not going up. That's bullshit. And if it is, it's because of COVID. It's not because we're defunding the police. So look at the stories of lefties just this week. I'm not going to sit here and make fun of people for dying. Every time someone dies, even if I dislike them or dislike their policies, I try to remember we're all human. There's a judgment after this. They probably have loved ones that care about them. I'm not going to delight in people's misery. They had the guy was stabbed to death. There was a journalist that was, sadly, hours before he died, the same day, I believe, or within 24 hours that he died, was mocking a tweet from Mike Cernovich, which said, you know, you're more likely to get murdered if you live in one of these cities than die of COVID. And he was murdered. You had a Democrat congressperson that was carjacked in D.C. And all these Democrats talking about how unsafe D.C. is now. I haven't been banned on Twitch yet. I'm assuming it'll come. It's all a lie. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate it. 1069. Thank you. All donations appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you, Wiley, for the follow. Also, 69 total viewers right now. Thanks, Wiley. Stick around. Hopefully. When it's them on the line, they believed in security for themselves. They believed in gated communities for themselves, but defund the police for you. Meanwhile, they pretend to give a shit about people that they say are the most needy. You know? They use this bullshit cultural Marxism that they want to divide you based on race or income or religion or ability or sexual preference or whatever. You're not an individual. You're just a member of groups. And whatever of those groups you could claim to be victimized, that's the biggest currency you have, being a victim. So they care, for example, to care about inner city black people. I told you when it was going on. Defund the police, the riots of George Floyd, they didn't affect my neighborhood. My neighborhood's fine. There's crime, but it's not that bad. I live in rural Pennsylvania. There weren't Black Lives Matter rallies and riot. Well, there was a rally in my town. It was remarkably peaceful, which is absolutely fine. It does not matter if I agree with your protest or not. You absolutely have the right to protest. No problem. It's the rioting we had a problem with. By the way, notice how it's always the Democrats that conflate that shit. I don't have a problem with legal immigrants. I might want to limit how much legal immigration comes into the country. But I don't have a problem with legal immigrants. I've been quite open and vocal about that. If you took advantage of the system and you are now a legal citizen of this country, I don't hold you to any account whatsoever. Some of the best people I know have been legal migrants. I don't have a problem with that. Once you're a citizen of this country, you're entitled to all of the rights and service of this government that the rest of us are. Don't have a problem with that. I think that our immigration system is fucked, and I have no respect for the illegal immigrants, but they seek to conflate it. Just like they wanted to conflate if I'm criticizing riots that are occurring after George Floyd at BLM riots, they're saying, oh, you're against BLM protests. Why are you against peaceful protests? I'm not against the peaceful protest. I'm against the violence. They're the ones who want to conflate that shit. Those riots were never affecting my town. It was affecting where? Inner city black neighborhoods. All the looting and shit at stores, it's not happening in my town. I'm sure there's some amount of theft. It's not my town. It's happening in inner city neighborhoods. So those stores leave those neighborhoods. Then those neighborhoods are underserved. There are legitimately great people that live in those neighborhoods that are struggling and doing the right things. Because of the bad behavior that is cheered on or ignored by these Democrats, their lives are made considerably worse. When you demonize police and suggest defunding the police, which keeps police out of these neighborhoods, then crime skyrockets in these neighborhoods. It's not the wealthy white liberal that pays the price. It's the people they claim to care about. These black people living in the inner cities, or people of all colors living in those inner cities. Now that it's starting to spill out over, and it's starting to affect the very white liberal people that cheered on these policies, now it's too much. Just like illegal immigration. Same fucking thing. As long as it was a bunch of whatever, it's a bunch of poor people in small communities in red areas on the border that have to deal with these illegals, we don't give a fuck. As long as we can import as many illegals as we need to mow our grass and right? That's all we care. Be our nannies. Good, that's cheap labor for us. We're happy. But once it's in their neighborhood, once they show up at Martha's Vineyard, oh boy, you can't be here. You can't be in New York City. We're all filled up. You can't be here. They're full of shit about everything. They're full of shit about climate change. The people that lecture you the most are using more emissions every day than you will in a month. Flying on private jets and warming or cooling mansions and shit. But they're pissed off at my friend's, diesel truck that he's running. They never gave a shit about the restrictions under COVID. They didn't give a shit. Let me check something real quick. Let's just play a couple videos on COVID alone. Here's Dylan Burns. He supported vaccine mandates. Remember? Oh, we were talking in this debate about people in New York, the state of New York, trying to grocery shop. They were being told that they would have to have vaccine passports to get into grocery stores. That's good, said Dylan. You should have to have a vaccine passport and be vaccinated or get tested every week if you want to go to work. That's good, said Dylan. Let's see how it goes once I said, well, maybe that would affect you a little. Let's see how much he was willing to sacrifice. Ready? Let's fix the window capture first. By the way, special thanks to my friend Drone Tech for editing this with funny sounds and whatever. Oh, wait. As always, I have my desktop audio off. Help if you could hear it. Huh?
Say it one more time. I'm sorry. I just want to be very careful.
You think that people that have had COVID and have natural immunity should get tested or get vaccinated, right?
Yes.
And your philosophical premise to such is, even though it might be against their wishes...
But everyone, by the way. This is everyone, them included.
Okay. And so... my question to you are you vaccinated? You don't have to tell me if you don't want.
Yes, I am. I have both vaccines.
Should you be forced to get tested every week?
No, because I'm vaccinated.
You're more likely to spread and catch the disease than people with natural immunity, and you think they should get tested every week?
I'm more likely to catch and spread the disease, but I think they should also get vaccinated. You know what, Rob? I'd be perfectly fine with people who have natural immunity going that route. If there was an exception and you could prove that to me.
So wait a minute. What made you change your philosophical position? It almost seems like...
Wait. Wait, 1 second. Give me a moment here. Somebody's telling me that's not true. I'm sorry. I'm trying to... I thought we were talking about something a little bit different here. So that's why... Give me a second here. He's right here, actually. If you see the picture of COVID, Rob's ready. Yeah, I mean, honestly... So
you just backtracked your entire position as soon as it was an imposition to you. As soon as it would have been... As soon as it personally affected him. Oh, never mind. I guess those with natural immunity shouldn't have to get tested. See how that works? Here's one of my favorite videos I did. This is the vibe that I'm getting more and more. I'm tired. Like, listen, I'm one of the most affable people you'll ever meet. To a fault. I'm like, did you ever watch the movie Anger Management? I'm like that. Where I let people push me around in real life, at my job. I'm a pushover. I should be more assertive. I really should. But when I finally snap, that's it. I'll tell people exactly how I feel. I'm honest. I'm just likable. I try to not create conflict when it's not necessary. And it's certainly true that there are left-wing people that I'm friends with that I like, and that I've certainly bent over backwards from some of the people you can see. People like Pisco, people like Dylan, other people. And I don't hate Dylan, and I don't hate Pisco, and I don't hate Destiny. I don't hate a lot of these people. But I'm just tired of it. Well, he pulled the fire alarm. He thought he was opening the door. It wasn't to cause a delay. What border crisis? I don't see it. Here's a video I did way back in like May of 2020 when I had conservatives telling me 15 days to slow the spread. Fuck them, idiots. We'll raise the speed a little. It's 9 minutes, so.
I've had it. I've had it of being called a racist. I've had it of being told that I'm somehow inferior, that I'm less educated, that I'm somehow a 10-toothed rube, like Rick Wilson said on CNN, that I'm a racist if I disagree with the disastrous positions of Black Lives Matter that would be bad not only for all Americans, but particularly for Black Americans. I'm tired of saying if I don't believe corporate-led revolutions, that somehow that makes me an immoral person. I'm tired of people saying that I have to cower down and shut my mouth or I'll lose my job if I don't cow down to this mob. I'm tired of having to say, yeah, I hear you. Maybe there's a case for tearing down Confederate statues. I don't care. I don't have any love for Confederate statues. I don't care. But I'm not going to give in to the mob. I'm tired of it. It's worth fighting for its own sake. We're not going to listen to a bunch of people that hate this country and want to overthrow it and return us to segregation and want to make us a globalist, fascist, Marxist society. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of trying to calmly explain to people things like why toddlers shouldn't be able to vote and why you shouldn't be allowed to take people's property and we should have property rights. I'm tired of explaining to people why the police should arrest people that steal from stores, why they should arrest people that are skipping out on subway tolls. These are all conversations I've had this week. I'm tired. The people among us that know the least are the most arrogant and most confident that they know more than everyone else. I'm sick and tired of it. They don't live in the real world. They don't have real jobs. I had someone tell me about COVID. I said, how long do we have to get locked down in your world? They said, I live in Australia. The government just pays us. We can stay locked down indefinitely. I have to explain to you that if no one's working, let's just make it real simple. If no one's working on the farms, how's the government going to send you food? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being attacked. I'm tired of having been crushed in the culture war. I'm tired of Republican leaders that claim that they're defending us that aren't doing squat. I'm tired of on my radio show when I bring Republicans on, they say, yeah, we got to get back in the fight. And all they're doing is proposing legislation and filing court cases that they eventually lose. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people getting in touch with me saying that they're going to contact my employer and get me fired because I had the temerity to argue against Black Lives Matter. I'm sick and tired of having to pretend, oh, it's a noble thing. What they're doing out there is noble. It's not. They're terrorists. Does that mean everyone involved with them is? No. But if you're aligned with terrorists and you're marching with terrorists, then you're hurting this country. And I'm tired of pretending it's not the case. We have a nerve. We have backbones on here. Where's our leaders? I go in a panel, people say, can we just agree? I'm a conservative, but can we just agree if Trump would just wear a mask, then COVID would be solved? Really? So it's just about masks now. So we didn't need the lockdown. Well, no, you still need the lockdown, but let's be honest, it's Republicans. Really? It wasn't Democrats and their experts that said it was okay to go out by the hundreds of thousands and protest for Black Lives Matter, shoulder to shoulder, while they're burning down buildings. Well, all the scientists say that those contact tracers proved that the Black Lives Matter protests didn't spread the virus. Fuck you! I'm tired of the... Ugh. Your experts are full of it, if that's what they're claiming. These two things can't be true. That if you're shoulder to shoulder and if you're in large crowds, you spread COVID, but not if you're protesting for Black Lives Matter. Either they were wrong originally or they're wrong now. And I'm tired of being treated Because they have the experts. The experts say this. Then I'm done with the experts. I don't care. The same experts, 5,000 of them that signed on, that said science, technology, engineering, and math is racist. The same experts that are endorsing Black Lives Matter, that's against the values of the Enlightenment and doesn't believe there's a thing such as truth, that's been attacking all of our hard sciences and arts. Those experts? I'm tired of it. And we have to pretend. Oh, no. Here's a paper I have from the experts. These great experts that did this study say that, Black Lives Matter couldn't have spread this disease. Thousands of Bush officials have signed on to elect Joe Biden. Thousands of former Intel officials have signed on that Trump needs to be impeached over the Ukraine. They didn't care about Biden's quid pro quo that Trump was trying to investigate. They don't care that the president of Ukraine's top prosecutor has came public with evidence that Biden committed extortion with U.S. tax dollars, including audio from Joe Biden himself, including financial transactions. They don't care. The experts didn't care about that. But Trump investigating it. The same experts that told us the FBI didn't do anything wrong in the Russia investigation. Only they did. It's war. That's what it is. I'm not advocating violence. Breitbart was a prophet. He saw this in 2008. Listen to him. You know what Breitbart's background was? He said, here's how I got into it. I lived in L.A. I was a socialite. I went to all the cocktail and pool parties where everyone laughed at flyover country. But then he visited flyover country, and he realized how arrogant and horrible and wrong all of these institutions were. We're talking about institutional and systemic bigotry and racism? Name me one institution that sticks up for rural America, for flyover country. Give me one. We're just told how privileged we are if we have a certain skin color. And God forbid you be a person of color from flyover country or a conservative person of color. You'll get attacked even harder. Look, I love Breitbart and he's an inspiration to me. But I don't need someone to come in and fight for me anymore. I'm going to fight for myself. I don't care what it costs. I'm sick and tired of the deck being stacked against people like us, normal Americans, being stacked against us, and us having to constantly grovel or be silent out of fear or wait for some leader to come along. There is no leader coming along. It's up to us. I'm sick and tired of the lies and the misdirection and the sophistry and the excuses and the hypocrisy. I showed you that video the other day. Black Lives Matter protesters start beating this man. What's the first thing the crowd starts yelling? Don't record it, don't record it, don't record it. They're liars. They don't want it recorded because they don't want it to be shown the thug terrorists that they are. But I have to believe 99% of these protesters are peaceful. So they sit around and watch innocents get beat and watch stores get burned? Oh, but it's all the police officers' fault. All of the violence was because tear gas was shot. It's garbage and you know it. And I'm tired of engaging on that level and pretending that these people are arguing in good faith. They're not. And if they are arguing in good faith, they're so ignorant that it makes worthwhile dialogue almost impossible. I'll keep plugging away. I'll keep doing these debates. I'll keep being polite. I'll keep keeping an open mind. But I know what they're doing. I know. And make no mistake about it, they're winning. They are winning. They've won the culture war. They control academia. They control the media. They control Silicon Valley. They control the entertainment industry. They control corporate America. All of it. Go order a McDonald's cheeseburger. Let me know what their motto is now. Turn on Amazon. Get some Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Go to Chase Bank. Any corporation. Nike. All buying into the Marxist terrorists trying to overthrow this country. All the great people in my family, in my life, in my community, all they want to do is go to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and provide for their families. And they're treated like shit over and over and over. And I'm sick of it. That's what keeps me going. Them. We have a Marxist-fascist revolution. Why isn't it directed at the people in charge? If you think that there's systemic racism, why aren't you directing your protests and your riots at the people that control the systems? Instead, you're rioting in inner city communities, burning down black communities, and directing your anger at normal Americans. And making it somehow racial, as if all white people are responsible or white people have original sin.
Thanks, Wiley. I'm on Kick and
Can't
Rumble.
you see this is exactly what the establishment wants? Because their biggest fear is that people, regardless of skin color, will come together and say, this establishment has screwed us over for 60 years. But you can't bring that up or you're called a racist.
That was... The date on that was from July 2nd, 2020. But it was actually recorded from a live stream probably a couple days before that. So the end of June, 2020. All those debates that I said, someone said, when did Trump say that about the mask? No, I'm not saying Trump... Yeah, but I'm not doing that aftershock unless he asks me to come on. I'm not just going to jump into his room. I'm not doing that. Plus, I'd have to end the Twitch stream. So, I don't think Trump ever said that about masks. What I was saying was, I kept doing, Aftershock could back me up in there. So in 2020, I kept doing these panels, and it would be 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats. And the Republicans I was on with were always like, it's Trump's fault, everything's Trump's fault. Biden's better than Trump, and blah, 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 blah. So everything COVID related is Trump's fault, and it's Republicans' fault, and blah, 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 blah. And if Trump would just wear a mask, it would all be over. That's what Republicans on the Twitch debate sphere were saying. That's why I got so much hate. Because, the good Republicans, they're fine, but Rob, oh my God. Wiley, yeah, for sure. I'm on Rumble. I'll put all my links. I'm on Rumble, Twitch, YouTube, streaming to all of those, and Kick. Thanks, King Barnaduke. Now, what's changed in me since then? I'm a dad. I lost a little weight, but I'm a dad now. My priorities are a little different. I gave it my all. I was going to Republican events. I was doing fundraisers. I volunteered for Trump's team. I was trying my best to help Trump and to help Republicans, even though I fucking hate the Republicans. Leadership, like people like Mitch McConnell, the Paul Ryans, the John Boehners, right? Hate them. The Mitt Romneys. But I still thought that they were better. And there were some at least reasonable people in the Republican Party. I fought for them in Pennsylvania in 2020. I did. Could I have done more? Sure. But for someone who's living paycheck to paycheck that's working 70, 80 hours a week with a pregnant wife, I was doing my fucking best. I couldn't find Republican leaders to speak with 1/10 of the fire that I had to talk on these issues. Couldn't find them here in Pennsylvania or even nationally. But I kept plugging away. I plugged away for people like Dr. Oz, who I knew was terrible. By the way, who are the Republicans pointing up for their Senate candidate going into this next election, 2024? Dave McCormick, the guy that lost a primary to Dr. Oz. Or wait, maybe he ran, I don't know. McCormick sucks. He's trash. The same old recycled bullshit. There we go. Just in case you're wondering, after the 2022, after Republicans got fucking housed in Pennsylvania, they didn't change any leadership or strategy. It's all the same people, folks. But I'm sure 2024 will go a different way. Thanks, True Legend. Appreciate the sub. So I keep doing debates and I stream as a hobby. I haven't been getting... all these people in politics in Pennsylvania, oh yeah, man, you're really good at this. We're going to need your help crafting a message and we'll need your help and blah, 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 blah. The only thing they ever ask me to do is if I contact them, like, hey, can I put some yard signs up? Thanks. So I still do my thing. I work 80, 90 hours a week. I try to be a good dad and a good husband. I stream when I can. But can we just take just one day here just to realize what a fucking joke it all is? Can we do that? Can we just... I said I'm tired a lot there. Kind of a theme of that rant. That was in the middle of a live stream, by the way. You saw there were a couple edits. It's difficult for me to edit, but I did do a couple edits. That wasn't written down. Nothing I do is. It's a joke. Did you see they just revised 3 years of economic data downward? Whoops. I guess that'll happen, right? The same experts that told us COVID's really bad, but racism's worse, and you have to be locked down and can't go to your work, and you can't go to the Trump rally, and you can't go to Sturgis. But you can go ahead and go to the Black Lives Matter rally. Right? Trust those experts. Here's a guy I found Peter Onge, who I've never heard of, but I've been seeing some of his videos. I saw this the other day and I was just like, yeah, of course. Now, when I talk to someone like Econoboy or I debate economics, I don't claim that I'm an expert on the economy. I try my best to sift through shit. But all of it's playing a stupid game, just like with all the COVID data. It's playing the game that you're starting with the baseline assumption that the data is real. And it's not. The data is not fucking real. The numbers you're getting from our statisticians and shit from our government are full of shit. Listen to this.
The Bureau of Economic Analysis just released a huge revision to the past 3 years of economic data, and it is ugly. In short, it's exactly what you'd expect. Higher inflation, weaker growth, lower consumer spending, and a bigger share of GDP faked by government spending. Now, in theory, government statistics are periodically revised for noise, a cold winter, a holiday falling on a Sunday. In reality, however, the adjustments have become so lopsided that either government statisticians have gotten very bad at their job or the original numbers are lies. After all, the media reports the original statistics breathlessly, and of course, they ignore the revisions 3 years later, especially if those revisions are clustered dozens at a time and then pumped out late week, which is exactly what happened here. Now, the BEA knew their data was wrong. I mentioned in a video the epic divergence between two standard tallies of the economy, the famous GDP and the GDI. In theory, they are the same, what's bought versus what's sold. In fact,
Just
as
wait,
recently as
Mr. White, I'll show
2021,
you.
they did match with just a 0.02% divergence. Since then, things went weird. GDI remained flat. In fact, it fell, adjusting for population, while GDP allegedly jumped almost 2%. Now, historically, GDP tends to catch down to GDI. And in fact, it was worse because they revised both consumer spending and inflation, meaning we are poorer than we thought, and they're confessing they undercounted prices. In raw numbers, BEA revised consumer spending down for 5 of the 6 past quarters. The revision for the latest quarter was striking, going from 1.7% to 0.8%, which is a 9 sigma miss. It would occur by chance with roughly 1 in 1 quintillion odds. So that's about 4 billion times more likely than you winning the Powerball. Beyond their astronomy scale miss, they also reported that government consumption has actually grown faster than personal consumption for the past year, meaning the government Borg is taking over the economy. That progressively makes GDP more a measure of government waste than national prosperity. Meanwhile, the BEA's inflation revisions hiked prices in 7 out of 10 of Biden's quarters and revised just 1 down. That's a pretty impressive miss ratio for professional statisticians. It's about 4 to 1, and it took peak inflation up another notch. They revised savings numbers, which knocked off about 1.1 trillion we thought we had. And finally, the BEA revised GDP itself, going way back to 2020. And turns out that long after the fact and long after the election, the BEA now says that Trump's growth was stronger than they said, and Biden's growth was weaker, again with a 4 to 1 ratio in favor of Biden. So that means the contraction last year was actually down 2%, which is a quarter worse than thought. So what is next? Brought to you by Unchained. What's next is the economy's a lot weaker than they say, but there's a lot more to revise. At some point, our government statistics start to look like China, where the numbers are taken as propaganda and people rely on shadow indicators like grocery bills or tossed resumes. Reality, alas, does not care what spins paid government statisticians are selling this week.
Trust the experts. Here's that guy's channel on X. He's got tons more videos. He puts out like a video a day. Trust the experts, though. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe it when you go to the grocery store and see how much things are costing. Nope. The economy's doing great. Bidenomics. How many news articles have you seen here just recently with them saying, oh, the problem's with the framing of Bidenomics because all the data shows that the economy's great. It's stellar. It's doing fantastic. So what are people talking about? Can't they see the truth? Can't they see how good things are? Don't they see it? The U.S. added $275 billion in debt in one day. The total debt is now $33.442 trillion, hitting $33 trillion just 2 weeks ago, and on pace to rise by $1 trillion in 1 month. Look at this. See, we had a good day here in June, huh? But the economy's great. Trust the experts. They'll tell you. The same experts that tell you the real problem with this country is white supremacy. The real problem is MAGA terrorists. But don't worry. Newsweek just put an article out. According to insiders at the FBI, they're fighting the real terrorists now. MAGA. Yeah. The 79 million people that voted against Joe Biden, they're the real terrorists. That's the terrorists. They made fun of Scott Adams when he said Republicans will be hunted. Literally, we have an FBI that think the biggest threat to this country are the people that voted for the other guy. Not specific cells. They're not saying like, oh, the Oath Keepers or the Proud Boys. They're saying MAGA. Trump's MAGA army. People that support Trump. That's the big threat. Just like school board parents. And every single time you get these leftist apologists, remember when I debated I'm really important on the FBI weaponizing to go after parents at school boards? I watched Merrick Garland. I watched that. There was America's largest teachers union sent a letter to the DOJ that apparently then there was all sorts of scuttlebutt and reports that were released that they actually coordinated with the White House to write this letter that basically said, we're upset about these parents at school board meetings because, the parents were pissed about things like their children being locked down and being forced to wear masks and having pornography shoved into their libraries at school. Shit like that. The parents actually should be outraged. Well, that was too much for America's teachers unions. They said, nope, we can't have that. We need to indoctrinate and abuse these kids. That's what we need to do. And how dare parents stand up for our right to do that? What do they think? They're in charge of their own kids? That's our job as the teachers union. That's what the teachers union said. So they write a letter to DOJ saying, we demand you treat these people like terrorists and use the tools in the Patriot Act. And then, like a good obedient dog, Merrick Garland came out and was like, yeah, we're going to utilize the FBI to work with local teams to investigate these parents at school board meetings. Great. When I called out how corrupt that was, do you think that Destiny or Pisco or I'm Really Important or Dylan Burns or any of the lefty people that I talk to regularly, you think any of them gave a shit? Of course not. They're like, oh, it's no big deal. Do you think when FBI whistleblowers then came out and said, actually, it was a big deal. They literally had agents sitting in parking lots spying on parents entering school boards. Do you think that they gave a shit? No, they didn't give a shit. Oh, it's ridiculous. Do you think now that Newsweek announced this new task force that they're going to give a shit? Of course not. They'll say, well, I trust the FBI will only be going after actual bad people, so it's okay. That's what they'll say. Just like with the January 6th shit. They don't give a fuck how unfair it was. Were there people that engaged in terrible behavior? Yeah. But the way they're railroading so many of these people, they don't give a shit. Great. Good. Make an example of them. And by the way, it works. You remember when they had the January 6th protest? Now, I have to be careful here. I don't mean the day of January 6th, 2021. I mean January 6th, 2022. Or maybe it wasn't January 6th. But there was a rally to support the people locked up for January 6th. Remember, it was when the FBI agents were there undercover. The old glowies. See if I can find the picture. When I show you the picture, you'll know it if I can find it. Why can I not find this picture? Well, if anyone has a link to the picture, you know the one I'm talking about, where they're all standing around in khaki shorts. What did I say about that protest? Don't go. That's how effective it is. You're a fool if you go to a public protest in favor of Trump against like corruption at this point. You're a fool. You know exactly that if one person does it, even if it's an insider, if it's an provocateur, one act of violence, and you could spend 5 years in prison because you happened to be there. It works. Commentators like me have to tell people, like, don't even go to these things. There it is. Nailed it. Hello, fellow Trump supporters. It's all bullshit. All bullshit. The same people that are telling you seriously, it was an insurrection. Yeah, we need the FBI to go after Trump people. Hey, here's another one. I saw this today. This is fucking mind-blowing. It's so good. You hear people like Peace and all them whining and complaining. Oh my God, all Republicans want to do now in the House is investigate Biden. It's so ridiculous. What about inflation? What about Ukraine? What about the real issues? From people that spent 4 years doing fucking nothing except attacking Trump when he was president. Impeachment after impeachment, investigation after investigation. And now, when the shoe's on the other foot, and the Republicans are doing one fucking millionth, because they're garbage and trash, of what the Democrats did, they're one, that's ridiculous. It's time to get to work on the economy. If we were the opposition, we wouldn't just waste our time investigating the president. Except every time that's exactly what we do. Chibahawk says, you guys gotta let Trump go. It's not healthy. Right. So what's he under 7 investigations now, indictments? We're the ones that won't let Trump go. I spend the majority of my time talking about FBI corruption and Biden corruption. And I'm told by leftist fucking shitheads like you, which I'm assuming that's what you are, who you are owed no explanation by me, but I'll give it just because I feel like it to the rest of my audience. But Trump did worse. Trump did worse. Then when you talk about the corruption against Trump, they go, why are you talking about Trump so much? Listen, we know he's the front runner for the Republicans, but just let us indict him like 500 times, and then if you talk about those indictments, you're just worried about them. Lock them both up. Do you see? Do you see these fucking NPCs Hey, everyone listening that follows me regularly, how many times, what is it, once a week we get someone like this? Yes, we know. We'll get some asshole that's like, please don't focus on the double standards and the corruption of our institutions. I don't care. Lock up Trump and Biden. Right, because the thing that they want above all is to not point out the double standards and corruption of these institutions. That's what pieces of shit like this Chiba Hawk, they're full of fucking shit. They're absolute garbage, shitty people. And we don't have to listen to them anymore. Fuck that guy. Fuck him. I don't give a shit what people like you say. I don't care at all. At all. I don't have to answer Pisco. I'll answer my audience to the question Pisco kept saying to me the other day. Do I want the FBI under a Republican to use corrupt, criminal, illegal practices to be weaponized to attack people on the other side? Do I want them to conjure up FISA warrants based on lies that Republicans create, using sources of suspected Russian or foreign spies to spy on opposition? No, I don't want that. I would be heavily against that. But I'll be damned if I'm going to listen to the people that cheered that on or ignored it or downplayed it for the other side demand that I go on the record and answer for them. Fuck you. Pisco and Destiny and all of these lefties and all the Democrats, their Don Lemons or your Jake Tappers or your Anderson Coopers, all of them deserve exactly what they've wished on other people. Lindsay, I will try to unite the United States. You're absolutely right. I will try to unite. And we'll start by timing you out. That sounds like a good way to unite us. See, now we're all united. We don't have dumb shits like you making comments. See? I feel the unity already. Great. What's the famous quote from Frank Herbert? That's what Lindsay's suggesting. Frank Herbert, the guy that did Dune. This is what a Lindsay's talking about. When I am weaker than you, I ask for freedom because that is according to your principles. When I am stronger than you, I take away your freedom because that is according to my principles. That's the Democrats in a nutshell. That's their bullshit supporters in a nutshell. When it was Trump, fuck him, he's evil, he's horrible, investigate. We're talking right now about Biden's DOJ. An article in Newsweek saying that they're going after MAGA, that MAGA is the biggest threat to this country. And Lindsay says, hey, Rob, you have 70 people listening to you. Why don't you bring us together, buddy? Can you do that? Can you bring us together? He's not criticizing the FBI. He's not criticizing the Biden administration. No. It's now that you see when it's us, it's time to come together. Don't do tit for tat. Don't cheer for the consequences that others have wished on you to happen to them. Come together. Be the bigger person. But when it's the other side that's actually has the power and is doing this shit, it's, well, okay, what can you do about it? That's okay. We live in a country now where we're told by the strongest law enforcement agency in the history of the world that they have a task force designed to go after the biggest threat to this country, people that voted for Trump. 78, 79 million people. They're not going to lock you up. They're probably not going to lock me up. But you know who they'll go after? Influential people that are against the uniparty. Or that, not even if they're necessarily against it, just aren't in the club and are influential. Like Elon Musk. Greg Price from Today. Just so we're keeping score, the Biden DOJ is suing SpaceX for not hiring refugees. The DOJ and the SEC are investigating Tesla. The EEOC is also suing Tesla. The FTC demanded Elon Musk hand over internal Twitter comms, and now the SEC is investigating Elon's purchase of Twitter. I do dark mode on my phone. I like light mode on the computer. They'll go after someone like Tucker. They'll go after James O'Keefe, like they raided his house at Veritas. They'll go after them. They'll go after Steve Bannon. They'll do that. And then they'll take on the next influential people that aren't quite as influential as Elon Musk and Tucker. They'll go after Rudy Giuliani. Then they'll come after the next crop of people. Scott Adams, Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec. Then they'll go after people even below that. Sean Davis or Stephen Miller. And maybe one day I'll have the privilege of having the FBI come after me. Luckily, I'm small enough that I'm not on a radar right now. And the memo will be gotten. You can't say these things publicly. You can't. Oh boy, you're talking about the Second Amendment? That puts you on our terror watch list. You're talking about the First Amendment? We can't have that. People that quote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, they're suspected terrorists. Can't have that. And it's all okay. It's fine. This latest case of Trump going after him, saying that he overvalued his assets, including Mar-a-Lago. Here's what a joke this is. The judge steps in and says, Trump's not allowed to comment on bias or make any slanderous remarks to the members of the court. So he stepped in to issue a gag. But Letitia James, the prosecutor, well, she could say whatever she wants. She came out and did a press conference and said Trump's racist and he's attacking us. Here's her tweet. Donald Trump's art of the steal, Mar-a-Lago. Trump says his property was worth almost $740 million and it's worth approximately $25 million. Does that sound like something a sober-minded prosecutor is going to do? Now, the judge says Trump can't tweet about it, but she can. Absolutely fine. She can get in front of cameras and say Trump's racist, he's stolen. Yeah, Rumble will be gonna. That's okay. No problem. There's two reasons that someone that has a brain on the left won't do it. One is because they're not smart. What's up, Jeff? How you doing? Or second is they have so much cognitive dissonance because they hate Trump so bad. Again, I just got finished reading, I guess listening to, The Gulag Archipelago. Every one of you should read it. That's where we're headed. It's like, if you're human, if you have any sort of compassion for fellow people, it'll tear you up reading that book. And Solzhenitsyn is very self-aware. He's an incredibly brave, amazing author who spent a decade in Gulag. Near decade. He criticizes himself. How did we get here, he says. I don't even know how to explain, there were days that I would be listening, 3 hours of that book, and I would pause it and be like, how can it get any worse? The depravity is monotonous. The authoritarianism is so overwhelming that he'll go through one legal section for 3 hours and explain over and over how innocent people, and there were millions upon millions upon millions of people captured up. Each individual life snuffed out, deteriorated, killed, a tragedy. And you'll actually get bored with the scope of it. He'll just tell story after story. Picture of Stalin up in your kitchen. It's slightly askewed. Your neighbor reports you. Clearly that was a symbol that they really hated Stalin. So their little protest was askewing the picture. 10 years, anti-Soviet agitation. They called them tenors. He said people would mock us and say, why would you stay in gulags with so many prisoners and so few guards? Why didn't you rebel? He says some people did. But rebel to where? Where would you go? You see, when the Tsarist, previous to the Bolsheviks, when they had political prisoners and the political prisoners would escape, the people would support the escapees. They saw them as victims of a corrupt system. But not the Bolsheviks. You see, if you escape the Gulag Archipelago, your former friends and neighbors and your average citizens, they couldn't wait to turn you in. After all, you're an anti-communist. How could it get like that? How could it get so bad? We're going to find out. Now, maybe it won't get to that scale. We're going to find out. We'll see. Look what they did under COVID. Neighbors calling the police on neighbors. There's more than 15 people at their house right now. Look at all the videos of people freaking the fuck out because someone wasn't wearing a mask in town. We're going to find out. They don't give a shit. And I said this to Pisco the other night. This is absolutely true. I don't think Pisco wishes ill on me. I don't think Destiny wishes ill. I don't think the majority of people that would disagree with me on the left wishes ill of me. But if ill befell me, if the government said, yeah, Rob's corrupt, he's an agitator, he was speaking out against the regime, they would say, oh, well, that sucks. Anyways, what am I doing at 2 o'clock today? That's what it would be. Bummer. Remember that suspect Sushi guy? Remember him? He's some guy who's right-winger. Now, he's pounding around with the Proud Boys and shit. He went to January 6th. I didn't go to January 6th. I said that I thought it would be a mistake. I said that I thought that the dominoes kept being set up and they were just waiting for the powder keg to kick off so they can enact authoritarianism. That's what happened. I argued with people after January 6th. People could go back and watch. I have the receipts. Suspect Sushi was involved a little more. Let me play a little inside baseball here. I am going to wrap up here in the next 10, 15 minutes. But let me play a little inside baseball. You see, I like a lot of you people here. Jeff Barnes that just messaged on YouTube. That Jeff Barnes is my friend in real life. Go Rams that was on here. Go Rams is my brother in real life. And I like a lot of you. I like Aftershock. I've talked to Aftershock. We've never met in person, but I've talked to him for hours upon hours upon hours on the phone. I don't really do this to make friends. I have a lot. I don't even want to say a lot. I used to have a ton of friends when I was more sociable. Now I have a great, tight-knit family and support system. And I'm an old curmudgeon. I don't really need to make new friends. I love my life. I'm one of the luckiest people you'll ever meet. My friends are great. My family, even better. Fantastic. So I'm not doing a lot of Discord behind the scene chats with people. But that is a lot of people, I think, get into streaming, and whether it was their intent or not, a sense of community, particularly with other streamers, is one of the things they find important. And so there's a lot of communications with some people that go on behind the scenes. I always screw up. I'll always have my Discord up when I'm doing a call with someone, and then I close the call, and you can see my chats. There's never anything. My chats are always like, yeah, what time you want to do that? 7:30? Sounds good. It's never anything scandalous. Still, though, you should be careful, because I'm not trying to give people's private messages up or anything like that. Nonetheless. So Suspect Sushi, even though he politically disagrees with Dylan Burns, Kent says, as someone that watches Destiny a lot, I wish you would know Life Orbiter style for a period of time. DDG really needs it. I know it's impossible because you're actually responsible. Yeah, I have no interest in being... That doesn't mean I'm actively seeking to create enemies, but I can't do it. In fact, I was offered to fly to Dallas, not from Destiny, but Andrew Wilson is setting up an in-real-life debate, and it would be in Dallas. I can't do it, man. I'm so busy. I can't do that. I could do it if it was like I was debating Joe Biden, but I can't do it short of anything incredible like that. Nonetheless, I'm not trying to disparage anyone that wants to stream and have orbiters and do that's fine. I'm not disparaging any fans that like that. That's fine too. It's just not for me. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, back to my story. So Suspect Sushi's going to the January 6th protest, and he messages Dylan Burns, who they're on the opposite end of things politically, but probably on friendly terms. And Suspect Sushi tells Dylan basically something to the effect of like, hey man, shit might kick off tomorrow, so maybe you shouldn't come, because he knew Dylan was going to go like be a citizen journalist. Now, I took that to mean, based on what was released, that what was being said there was the Proud Boys thought Antifa was going to come start some shit. And Trump, when he was suggesting the National Guard, that's what he seemed to be suggesting as well. That we have these rallies and they're peaceful, and then agitators from the left like Antifa come in and they start beating the shit out of people, just like they kept doing to the Patriot Prayer people. And so, Suspect Sushi seemed to be suggesting like some shit might kick off. What do you think that's going to happen? Dylan Burns sent those communications to law enforcement. Suspect Sushi spent a year in jail. That happened. That fucking happened. He spent a year in jail. Just a regular streamer on here. Went to the clink for a year. In part because of private messages that he sent. A left-winger that I kind of like, Dylan Burns, he sent him messages and Dylan took that and narked on him to the police. Now, I've personally been in Discord conversations where people were admitting to illegal behaviors. Not that. Most of the time, I'll be honest, drug use. Imagine what a piece of shit I would be to narc that out. Oh, yeah, that's true. And I plan on having Suspect Sushi on. I talked to him a little about it one night. But I'm going to get him on to talk about this shit. And I know that puts me on some sort of fucking watch list. I'm not a fucking Proud Boy. I thought going there was stupid. I deplore all acts of political violence. Let me be completely clear. And I'm not just saying that. It's been my message going back. I challenge anyone to ever show me suggesting any forms of political violence on any side. And if Suspect Sushi engaged in political violence, shame on him. I don't know. Clearly, he's going to paint his own story in a good light. But I would love to have him and Dylan Burns on to explain what happened there. But I think it's a pretty shit move to narc people out like that. That's what I think. You think he'd give a fuck for a second if I go to jail because the FBI says that I was inspiring some stealing of the election or something like that through my commentary? You think he'd give a shit? You think he would care at all? You think any of them would? Like I said, they might be like, oh, it's a shame. Anyways, moving on. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. It is in my nature to be easygoing. I can't tell you. I used to say this all the time. Why does it have to be me? Suspect just said to him, and there might be some like fighting and shit tomorrow. You shouldn't go. Why does it have to be me? Why in 2020? Why in March of 2020? You go back. The videos I didn't have to delete off YouTube, many of them are on Odyssey or on Rumble, and there might still be some on YouTube. But of course, because YouTube censorship, I had to delete. I kept getting my channel banned and had to delete video after video. You go back in March. I'm screaming at the top of my heads on this fucking channel. Why is it me? Why isn't there a fucking politician in Pennsylvania that's speaking up?
Why does it have to be me that has a radio show bringing people on like, what the fuck is happening with these lockdowns? My family and friends are losing their houses. Their loved ones are dying alone in nursing homes. Their kids can't have their senior year of school. They're unable to have a fucking wedding for their daughter. What is going on? Meanwhile, lefties are out there fucking rioting and my governor, Tom Wolf, is marching with them. Why is it me? Why do I have to fucking speak up? Where's anyone? There isn't anyone more talented than me. I'm fucking average. The only things I'm fucking really good at is I'm a pretty good debater and I'm great at getting late night snacks. That's about it. Why am I doing it to 30, 40 people a night? Where are the people with the bigger audiences? Where's the fucking politicians? Where are the Republicans? Where are the people in Trump's team? Where's Kevin McCarthy? I'd like to be the guy that just comes on and goes, oh man, do you see all these other guys? They're killing it. They have passion. They have fire. So when I debate these lefties, I don't have to be that guy. But who's left? Who even on this space? Who is there? If you're a Christian nationalist, you got Andrew Wilson. Who's out there speaking on this corruption? Then I wrestle with myself because I'm kind of bipolar. Should I be easier when I'm tearing Pisco a new assholes? Should I be easier? No, I shouldn't. Fuck you, I'm not going to be gaslit. Rob, you have to be nicer than me when I'm explaining how Jamaal Bowman, it sounds ridiculous that he thought pulling the fire alarm would open that door. But what's even more ridiculous is he thought pulling a fire alarm would cause a delay. That guy rightfully should be mocked. He should be laughed at. He should be shouted at. You can watch it if you want, Roland. It went about as well as you would expect. So going forward, I'm not going to say, I mean, I don't know what to say. I am who I am. There is a little bit of bipolar in me. There's a little bit of those two wolves fighting, right? Sometimes when I debate people going forward, I might be this guy. Hey, thanks for coming. Yeah, let's have an interesting conversation. Sometimes I might just laugh at them and tell them to fuck off. Whatever the moment feels me. And if you're planning on bringing me on a panel or you're planning on setting up a debate with me, just know that. Just know that you might get trans positive Rob that purposely fucking ruins your panel because you deserve to be made fun of. That might be what you get. Or you might get me analytically debating you and making a fool of you. Thanks, Living Martyr Report. I would love to go on Timcast too, but it is what it is. The real Rob. Shh, don't tell anyone about transpositive Rob. So, all right, I'm going to end the stream here. Maybe I'll stream tomorrow. We'll see. I'm not sure. I got family shit going on, but, I guess if there's a message for the channel today, I guess I should speak on the Kevin McCarthy thing. I didn't really talk about it. Yeah, good for Matt Gaetz, but it'll probably do nothing. Jim Jordan hasn't done shit on the weaponization committee. Steve Scalise was shot by a violent Bernie supporter. The FBI tried to cover that up by claiming that it was workplace, whatever the fuck that they tried to say it was. It wasn't left-wing terrorism. And did Steve Scalise make a big stink about it? No, he didn't. It'll probably be business as usual, but I applaud Matt Gaetz for trying to stand up. This is, you realize, I just showed you that, downward revision of 3 quarters of data. 3 years of data, I'm sorry. I was talking to my friend Carlos on the phone today. I said, everything's a fucking lie. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. Just take a step back for a minute. Imagine that you were frozen for 5 years and you just woke up. Take a step back. Imagine the shit you're seeing. Well, we have to have credible debates about whether or not biological men could be women.
When that guy pulled the fire alarm, was he thinking it would just open the door? Well, maybe it is necessary, to lock everyone down, except people that want to protest to help the left. They should be allowed to go. Yeah, we have to lock down kids, for some. You have to take all this. We know that we said masks didn't work for other aerial diseases in the past, but now we have to just unquestionably accept it, or else you'll be censored. It wasn't just that the 2020 election was good, it was the most secure ever. And if you question it, we have to completely remove you from the social media space. Walls are bad and they're racist, and there's no crisis at the border, and detaining kids in cages is immoral. But now that the Democrats are there and there's 4 times more kids in cages, and there's millions of people a year coming across the border, it's all okay. There's nothing to see here. And then when they get into left-wing communities like Martha's Vineyard, well, Martha's Vineyard just didn't have the resources to deal with them like those poor communities on the border. Those poor people are the ones that have the resources to deal. You would laugh your ass off. You would laugh. You'd be like, yeah, this is the end of fucking an empire, right? This is it, dude. This is a fucking end. There's 7 indictments or whatever. I can't even keep counting now against Trump. His property was only worth $20 million. But empty lots 1/10 the size in that neighborhood are worth $20 million. But we just have to accept it. A porn star trying to extort him and him paying monies to stop it going into the 2016 election is a criminal offense, a campaign finance charge, even after the statute of limitations, even though we know Hillary's team literally committed the same crime in a more blatant fashion by refusing to report their campaign finance expense of the Steele dossier and paying for it, in which they sourced a suspected Russian spy to concoct a story that Trump was trying to collude with Russians, like the suspected Russian spy that Hillary's team was colluding with to get the evidence to investigate Trump for the very crime that she was doing. Donald's is okay. Who's good? Let me blackpill you. They all fucking suck. Trump sucks. There's the truth. DeSantis fucking sucks. That's the truth. They ain't gonna save you. They're fucking garbage. They still don't get it. They don't fucking get it. The only one saying the right shit's Vivek, and he doesn't have a chance to win and would probably sell us down the fucking river if he made it. He's probably fake. Yeah, put your faith in Jesus. That sounds about right. Put your faith in yourself and your family and Jesus. That's it. Put your faith in me, I'll let you down, and all those politicians will too. Sucks. Carrie Lake sucks too. They all suck. Is anyone out there really speaking to the moment? Is anyone out there saying we're in a lot of trouble? Look at this shit. We shouldn't get rid of McCarthy. We need incrementalism. We need, willing to work with the other side. What? Ron Paul was good. There's hope culturally. There's hope with parents at school board meetings. There's hope. You want to know what the most hopeful story of the week was? Did you see that tech expose? It was a women's only job fair and tech expose. And a bunch of people that showed up were men. And they were like, yeah, we're non-binary. And then the dude stood up that was running it and was like, this is ridiculous. All these people pretending to be non-binary. Who's he to say? Who's he to say? How does he know who's pretending? If I say I'm a woman, I'm a woman. If I say I'm black, I'm black. That's it. That's where the hope is. The hope is watching black communities in Chicago fucking furious that the policies they voted for are now coming to roost in their neighborhoods with illegals in their neighborhoods. But all the data says it's good for them. Don't they know? What about the statute? Don't they? That's where the hope is. But it ain't with your politicians. This is one thing Peace goes right about. McCarthy having an impeachment hearing, yeah, it is all for show. He wouldn't give a fuck. If tomorrow the electorate woke up and all the MAGA Republicans and that 99% of Republican voters, including the ones that supported Trump and supported populism, if they all said, we've changed our mind. We're now the George Bush party. Fuck Trump. Fuck DeSantis. We want Chris Christie. We don't want investigations against politicians that are Democrats. McCarthy in a moment would have been like, okay, and that. Woo, yeah. They're just saying what they think they need to say to keep their jobs. That's what they're doing. McCarthy was worried he would be ousted. So he's like, yeah, impeachment hearing. Just like the weaponization. The evidence is so... How is me, someone who doesn't have access to fucking anything, who's just a guy with a computer working 90, 100 hours a week, how am I able to probably be the best person in the country short of John Solomon on the Biden Burisma scandal? How is it me? I'm getting tired of trying to keep up with this shit. I'm fucking over it. What's the point? To come on here and talk to my audience that already sees the evidence of how much bullshit it is? So that you guys could be frustrated that no one in fucking Congress has half a brain that I do? Or it's not that. They just don't give a shit. They're just gonna, do their dog and pony show just like they did with the... I mean, for all you have to do is just... All the people, the norms talkers on the Republican side... And on the Democrat, norms, Trump was violating norms. All you have to do is imagine for 1 second where the Mitch McConnell would be, and where Kevin McCarthy would be, and where Nancy Pelosi would be, and where Chuck Schumer would be, and where every fucking person, the Brian Kilmeades on Fox, and Geraldo Rivera, and Anderson Cooper, and Don Lemon. Imagine if Trump would have paid for opposition research from a suspected Russian spy, and then had Bill Barr or Jeff Sessions or his attorney general use that information to spy on Biden or Hillary Clinton. Imagine where we would be. And then basically an investigation found, yeah, this was illegal. Imagine where we would be right now. It'd be the biggest fucking story in the history of this country. That Trump was a fascist, Trump is Hitler, he weaponized his law enforcement to go after his opposition. They flipped the fuck out over a phone call to Zelensky. So imagine if he would have done that with the FBI. Nah, poker mad, fuck you, I'll do what I want. Republicans are more mad that Matt Gaetz took out McCarthy than they are that their own voters are being targeted by the fucking FBI. They don't give a shit about that. They don't give a shit about the border crisis. They'll pretend to, just so they can keep their job. They don't give a fuck about Obamacare that they told you for years, vote for us and we'll repeal and replace. And then we voted for them, and what did they do? Not a goddamn thing. But oh boy, and by the way, you realize this is all over Ukraine and shit like that. The way it traditionally works, and again, I'm no expert on this, but you could forgive me for not being, since our government's been derelict, Congress has been derelict. You see, they're supposed to put out, like each committee's supposed to put out their own funding bill. That's what they're supposed to do. So you're supposed to have like 12 funding bills that come through, you know? But instead we have these omnibus bills or these continuing resolutions, which are basically just, oh fuck, we didn't do our job. So now if you want to fund one thing, you have to fund it all. And this is always going to grow the size of government because even the fiscally responsible conservatives, there's shit that they want. So they'll be like, hey, you really want funding for that Air Force base that you promised your voters in your community? Well, in order to get that, you're going to have to fund these, gender studies courses in Afghanistan. And you're going to have to fund this and this and this and this. What the fuck does this have to do with anything? Well, it doesn't have anything to do with anything. But if you want one thing, you got to take it all. And then what happens is they're able to go out and tell the voters like, oh, look, these evil fuckers want to shut down the government. And that means moms won't get their WIC check. And kids won't have milk and they won't have food. And your armed service members that fought in wars will no longer get paid. That's fucking horrible. And that is horrible. That certainly is bad. But what they don't tell you is, well, we could just fund that and then debate about the other shit. But no, we've purposely set up the system against the wishes of the Constitution, against what we're supposed to constitutionally do, that we're supposed to have individual funding on each of these programs. And instead we're lazy. Well, it's not that they're lazy, it's they're corrupt. And you have to understand that Ukraine is actually a really good linchpin for why Kevin McCarthy is no longer in. It literally is that. That's the one thing. The reason that Gaetz wants him out is because he didn't have the single line spending bills. And the reason they can't do single line spending is because enough Republican voters are sick and fucking tired of funding this war in Ukraine. They're tired of it. But it's their religion now. The leader of the Republicans, Mitch McConnell, says it's the most important issue. The Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, used to be wearing little Ukraine lapels around. Why? Is it because for some reason the same fucking people that don't give a shit about their own constituents really care about the Ukrainian people? No, that's not it. It's because this sort of foreign policy stuff is what their donors, the real people they give a shit about, the people in the military-industrial complex, it's what they want. And so when they're buying these politicians, this is the kickback. And it's also where they could send money. Did you see the story this week that some Democrat, now his lobbying firm or whatever is getting a contract for $25,000 a month from Ukraine? It's the same type of shit that was going on in Burisma. Our tax dollars in the form of loan guarantees and shits like that get sent to Ukraine. Then corrupt oligarchs in Ukraine hire politicians in the United States' children, funnel them hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, which then goes into the coffer of politicians' families, and they continue to vote to keep sending money to these corrupt countries. I don't believe most U.S. still supports sending aid to Ukraine. I don't believe the fucking polls. But even if that would be true, I don't believe that most Republicans still support sending aid to Ukraine. And there's an awful lot of individuals, districts that don't support it. So you don't want to have to be a Republican and go on record saying, okay, an up-down vote on funding to Ukraine. Sure, Mitch McConnell, who's safe, can do it. But you don't want to be someone who's worried you'll get primaried. So above all, you can't leave that up-down vote occur. I don't give a shit. I don't believe that data. I do not. From October 4th, 2023, Rasmussen, should Congress continue to provide funding and weapons to Ukraine? The plurality of voters, 42%, say no. National survey from September 29th to 2023. 42% of voters say Congress should not continue funding. 38% say yes. What's up, Jess? So, all right, I got to go. Make fun of these people. Remember, they're pissing on your leg and telling you it's raining. He pulled the fire alarm to open the door. Fuck them. Fuck them. Martha's Vineyard, they don't have enough resources to support 48 illegals for 48 hours. They just didn't have enough. They couldn't do it. Fuck them. Make fun of them. Laugh at them. That's what they deserve. They deserve to be mocked. See ya. You see how they get real adult logic, real adult. You need to have a serious conversation with these people. Fuck you. It will never, one of the things, it's not just how bad faith they are, right? It's how arrogant they are. That they demand, again, I'll bring up that Frank Herbert quote, right? This is who those people are. When I'm weaker than you, I ask for freedom because it's according to your principles. When I'm stronger than you, I take away your freedom because that's according to my principles. That's who they are. You should be the bigger man, Rob. How many times have we had some shit lefty come on here where I'm going into a 3-hour expose of Biden corruption or FBI corruption and they go, why don't you talk about Trump corruption? What about that? What about Trump corruption? Yes, me, who's streaming to 70 people, you know, because the bulk of our mainstream legacy media and all other commentators aren't talking. All they do is talk about Trump. So I should have to split my time in half. Do you think that same person's going to fucking writing letters to CNN or the New York Times or the Washington Post going, why don't you spend half of your coverage being critical of Biden? You think that they're out there criticizing when I say fuck them, their shit? Do you think they're out there criticizing when Biden's Twitter account, because we know it's not Biden tweeting, when it's saying that MAGA supporters are terrorists? No, they're like, oh, Dark Brandon, beast. Fuck them. I'm tired of placating to these people. Captain Bust, Ack, Apov. Fuck you. How about that? Start your own fucking show. Not welcome here. Kiss the ass. See ya. You should have to be civil to these people. You need to have an honest conversation about pulling a fire alarm isn't a delay tactic. He legitimately thought that alarm could open the door. Fuck you. All right, I'm heading out. Hope you all have a great evening. I'm not going to bother rating anyone tonight. I don't give a shit. Find something else. Hang out with your family. Read your kid a book. Oh, yeah, thanks, Jesse. The Big Lebowski, yeah. I treat people commiserately. I reciprocate. Econoboy was on here. I think Econoboy's terrible on some of his takes. We had a civil conversation. It was fine. Pisco was being fucking unreasonable. Was showing that he's an absolute hack. That's how I treated him. He should be laughed at more. All right. You guys have a good one. Perhaps I'll be streaming tomorrow. But anyways, don't get too depressed. I'm having a little angry day. It's okay. Because at the end of the day, I'll laugh at it. And that's the important thing. So thank you all so much. As always, have a good one.